Place, which currently is HITT. They can't use it anymore, they got rid of it. Oh! Oh, the students musical interlude. Why did you get rid of that, T.O.? Why? Why? That song literally follows us everywhere we went last season. Yeah. Pretty Woman just does not work as a goal song. It really doesn't. Nah. I just knew that was going to happen. I knew Rob was going to do this, but I thought it would be you, George, and not my partner over here. Well, unlike your partner, I know they don't use that anymore. Oh, God. Right. Okay, so the Sceptres have played 16 games so far. That gives them 17 points. Just 1 point above the Seattle. Their record stands at 4-1-3-8, and they have scored 27 goals. That's the lowest in the league. Conceded 45 goals. That's the most in the league. Right, what is going on here? What is going on here? I mean, I know I know the run up to this season that I said that T.O. and Boston could be competing for the gold plan. That's what I kind of felt, because I just felt that they suffered the most in the expansion process. But they didn't do that bad to start off the season. No, I think since we've come back from the Rugby Series and Euro Hockey Tour break, that's when the Sceptres have really started. Like, they're just not producing right now. No, I mean they're not scoring for a start. Yeah, because in their last 3 games, they haven't really scored that many goals. No, in the last 3 games, they scored 2 goals. They got shut out in their last 2 games against both Seattle and Montreal. Their last win was the battle on Bay Street, but that was an OT win, so it's not the 3-4 points. Yeah. And they've been outscored their last 3 games, 14 goals combined. Yeah. So they're not scoring, not defending either. Yeah. It's just, and also you thought the Sceptres would be doing fine this year, because obviously they've got this net mining tandem, even though they don't want to make a tandem. Yes, because obviously the Sceptres this year have got a really rock solid net mining in both Regan Kirk and Lane Chuley. So the Sceptres have now got that 1A, 1B system, although the Sceptres don't really like to admit they're in the tandem. Yeah, because neither of them have really been given back-to-back starts. Which I think is really interesting. Because I think we all, at the start of the season, thought Regan Kirk was going to be the Sceptres starting netminder. Yeah, agreed. I do wonder what would have happened in the playoffs last year if she hadn't been injured. Yeah, I do wonder that. Yeah. So and she hasn't been playing that badly, Regan Kirk. No, I think she's done very well. It's just her team is not support. She's not getting that netminder support from the team that she needs. Yeah. So that's the problem that's there. Yeah. And I don't see why the Sceptres feel that having the tandem is a bad thing. I know, because look, it's worked for us the last 2 seasons. But I think what's great with our tandem though is Ken Clee can recognise when his netminders are doing great and when they're not, and he has no problem in giving somebody a back-to-back starts. Yeah. Whereas with Troy Bryan, he hasn't really done that. They haven't really, neither Chuley or Kirk have seen back-to-back starts this season. Which is a bit alarming, because you do need to find that particular netminder who you can trust to start playoff series. It's just, especially the lengths that the Sceptres went to get Chuley in the first place. Yeah. Do you know what? Even though she's in the exact same role she was with the Big 12, I think she got a better helping of the line share in Montreal than she has done so far in TO. Would you agree? Yeah. But it's been a nightmare so far for the Sceptres. But as we know from the previous 2 seasons, they normally start slow and then go on a massive tear in the second half, and somehow find a way to get to top 2 of the playoffs. Now that's possible still, that is still possible, but they're gonna need more scoring. And power play, this is the thing I want to really talk about. I'm gonna let you have the floor. Last season, TO's power play was a nightmare. It was red hot. You could not risk going into the penalty box against the Sceptres last season, because they would make you pay. And that was a huge factor in how they were able to turn their season around the second half. Because yes, first half last year, bad. Because they didn't have Natalie Spooner. Yeah. Well, you can come out. Let me finish my point and I'll pass it to you. There we go. Very good. There we go. Right. So hold the fort then. Hold the fort. Yeah. Back to Blur. Okay. So far this season, the power play it has not been what it once was. And that is quite alarming for a team that we know is very good when it comes to battle teams. Yeah. And I just think the power play needs a lot of work, which is something I would not have been saying going into the season, given how good they were last year. Yeah, I mean, did it happen? Was it like an 8-game, 9-game streak where they got at least 1 power play goal? I think it was in those rounds, but yeah, it was just that power play last year, you literally feared it because of how good it was. Yeah. And this year it's been a complete contrast. Yeah. And I think what's interesting, is how the Sceptres still have Turnbull. They still have Fast. They still have Watts. Okay. They still have Spooner. Just trying to think who else you're not mentioned because there's so much firepower on that team yet. And yet, it hasn't really worked. Because obviously last year, my problem with the Sceptres last year in that first half was, how is it you've got this firepower, which at the time still had Serners, but you're not finding ways to get the wins. You're not finding ways to generate that offense. When Natalie Spear came back, it was a complete turnaround. Yeah. So, I find it odd how this season Natalie Spear is healthy, and yet this team is still not producing the net results they really should be producing. It's a huge question mark, and you go to wonder, is Troy Ryan past it? Oh! I just, because, well, no, you think that's what? You think the Sceptres need a coaching change? Well, I think something needs to happen for the Sceptres, and I just can't think of anything else. Yeah, I don't think Gina Kingsbury would do it. Huh? No. I don't think Gina Kingsbury would ever shoot Troy Ryan, just because of how lockstep they are, particularly because they're not just the GM and coach of the Sceptres, they're also the GM and coach of Canada. So I just don't see, right now, I don't see a world where Troy Ryan gets shot. I think if there was to be a coaching change, it would be because he would go of his own accord. Yeah. But we'll see, because there's not a lot of confidence in Canada going into Milano-Cortina this week. So we'll see if maybe that then shakes things up. I know, because there's a lot of Sceptres representation on that roster, as we very well know, and we're expecting. But yeah, I can't see a world where Gina Kingsbury lets him go. It would be probably he goes, I go kind of thing, which maybe might be needed. Yeah, but I just feel like the Sceptres really could benefit with a high draft pick. Yeah, so I think the Sceptres definitely going to need. If you'd ask me right now which team do I think needs the gold plan the most, I would say the Sceptres, because something's not right. Actually, not right. You've got a rock solid net mind duo in Reagan Cook and Shootley, who are not being given the support in net as we've seen. You've still got this firepower of Renata Fast, Blair Turnbull, your captain, Darryl Watts, who you got that big trade last year. You've still got Natalie Spooner. Okay, so where's it going wrong? Where's it going wrong? That is the question, because they have scored only 27 goals. The two expansion teams, they've got more than that. In fact, let's double check the numbers. They're also conceding amounts as well. Yeah, well, we can come to that in a moment. Yeah, Seattle scored 31, and Vancouver's also scored 31. And then you look at So everybody except Tio has got goals in the 30s. Others than R were in the 40s. Woo! Yeah, we'll come on to that when we get to Osborne later on. Yeah, but the Sceptres are the only team right now that's not got goals in the, scored goals in the 30s department. Everyone else has. They've always conceded the most. But I think the reason why they've conceded the most is because they are not supporting whoever's in net, whether it's Kirk or it's Julie. The rest of the team is not giving them that support you see, which I've seen a lot in both the AHL and the AHL with my team since I was like. So you've got to try to support the netminers, because there are moments where the netminers have been the stars in a loss, but because their teammates haven't done the support, that's where they get let down. So, yeah, so I just feel, you know, it's an interesting situation. I mean, this is a team that 2 years ago were literally on that massive 11-game win streak, and look where they are now. They're nowhere near the playoff line. Not even close. But then again, we did kind of expect the Sceptres maybe would be where the Sceptres are. And I think the fact that our prediction has sort of happened, I think it makes it quite shocking. Because the Sceptres did actually, for the first few games, started off quite well. And unfortunately, ever since we've come back from the first international break, that's really when they've kind of fallen off the edge of the cliff. And they're just not performing as well as needs to be. There's just not really any offence coming in on the Sceptres right now. And you do have to wonder, when you look at this upcoming draft class, who could be a huge impact player for the Sceptres and could really bolster their chances going forward. Yeah. Because the Sceptres, like the Big 12, have got so much firepower on that team, it's not, at times, coming together. Well, no, the Big 12 comes together regular season, just playoffs is where it then basically falls off the cliff. No, I think with the Big 12, that's more of a Thelma and Louise moment. And we're just going to drive, we get to playoffs right, we're going to drive the car off, and just, I was expecting you to hell abuse me there, because of what? No, because that's basically the Big 12 their own words only. Yeah, but I didn't think you'd go like that sort of a natural using there. I thought all they're going to come from me. No, okay, that's fine. Yeah, the offense, I think, for me, is the big problem for the Sceptres so far. That, for me, is where I see as the problem. Their offense is not providing. You're only getting 27 goals. What are you going to do when we get closer to the end of the season, when everybody is fighting for those 3 points? What are you going to do? How are you going to be able to step up? And I feel there's one more thing we need to talk about, which I haven't really come on to yet, and that is home ice performance. Oh, of course, yes! So you take it, because I think you're going to bring up Vancouver in a moment. So I'll let you take this one. I think that's the only thing we need to discuss, so we can go on to hopes and things like that. So I mean, I have taken quite note about how our teams have been performing on home ice. Boston, invincible. Montreal, unstoppable. Vancouver, oh dear, I'll say that that we get to the goal ice. But only lost once in Pacific Coliseum. Sceptres, on the other hand, they're a complete mess on home ice. Yep. They've not had that much success on home ice. Now, yes, their most recent win on home ice was the battle on Bay Street, but that's not your primary venue. Nope. In Coca-Cola Coliseum this year, they have not performed well, as they did, say, this time last season. Yep. Where, of course, last season they moved to Coca-Cola Coliseum full time. Yep. And that is also going to be a huge problem for teams. I mean, as much as we're going to complain about how Vancouver's being pathetic on the road, when it comes to home ice, where you're trying to get your home crowd in 99 out, this is not great. No, it is not great. And ideally, you want your barn to be seen as one of the toughest bars to play. I mean, I remember in my early days of being with the AHL, the tank was always referred to as one of the most toughest places to be in. I'm not sure if it still has that representation, because other teams might try and argue that, and say, well, do it fair dues. But yeah, so it's just, yeah, the Sceptres have really struggled on home ice this season. And if they miss the playoffs this year, that might be a huge factor as to why. Because a lot of teams have just come to Coca-Cola Coliseum, got the 3 points, and easy, no, job done, no problem, and then just move on to the next one. So that's how I feel teams are treating it like that. Sceptres are not really putting out that much of a fight on home soil. And we saw that in our visit there back in December. We made quite light workers out there. I mean, yeah, they did get the first goal, but after that it was all frost. So that's been also really a big factor going into the second half. Well, should we go into it then? Right, so hopes for or predictions for the second half of the season. I think... Should I go? I think I know what you two are both going to say. Right, well, we'll go this way then, as a plural fish. Right, okay. So, if we haven't already explained it, we're gonna rotate going last in each one. Yeah, we're not gonna do it the same order each time. Just in case I haven't already put that out. We will alternate who goes last each time. But we'll go this way. Right, so shall I take net mining, or do you want power play? You want power play? I thought you were going to do home ice. Shall I do that? Because I want to do net mine. Okay, right, okay. Okay, right. So my hopes for the second half of the season for the Sceptres is they can find some more home wins. Because, as Kurt mentioned, right now in Coca-Cola Coliseum, they are not performing on all cylinders. Okay? And I know how tough that bar can be, because obviously that is the home of the Marlies in the AHL. And in fact, last season, my Barracuda did play 2 games at Coca-Cola Coliseum. In fact, it was the week before last season started. So I know what that place is like. Okay, I've got experience with the Barracuda. Went there last year. Okay. Sceptres just not performing well at all, and they need to find ways to get more home ice advantage in their favour. Otherwise, that could be the key factor to why they miss playoffs. That could be the key factor. So that's my hope for the Sceptres, more home ice wins. So, lady, but my hope is they can work out how to balance the net minding, because you've got Reagan Kirk and Lane Sweeney, 2 outstanding net minders. Right now, Troy Wright hasn't got a clue what he's doing with them. No. And he hasn't got a clue. He's not got a clue. So you need to try and work out how you manage net minding. Give Rawson back-to-back starts. Yeah, just do that. Give Rawson back-to-back starts. Okay? So whoever the next game is after March the 1st, keep that netminder in. So whoever plays against the Golden Eyes on March the 1st, keep that player keep that netminder in when you have your next game, whenever that will be. Because we don't know the calendar. No. So that's my hope for those second half season Sceptres, is you figure out your net mining. And my hope is power play, because I think power play is really letting the Sceptres down. That power play was dynamic, was red hot, dynamic, whatever you want to use it, call it last year. Yeah, whatever tell you what to use. That was just the key success to how the Sceptres managed to get into second place. So I just think the power play needs more work. That is my hope for the second half of the season.